Good evening, Perry. Thank you very much for coming along to have a chat. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You've been a very long supporter of the band and our president for a long time and still hold office as vice president. Could you maybe share with us some of your early memories of the band?
Yeah, I think my early memories, Craig, would go back to the year 1953. I'm not old enough to remember the flute band that you have, but I do remember the silver band, which started about 1951, 52. So in 53, the band was going well. It was coronation year. I was at Donaldson Primary School, and there were a lot of events that involved the band during that year. So I suppose I, as a young boy, became a fan of the Symington Memorial Band at that stage in 1953, and from there on. The following year, the 12th parade was at the polo field in Dundonald, and the Symington led the parade that year, and of course it led it again, I think, in 1967. That would really be my first experience of the band, and the link then continued as time went on through BB, etc., etc.
Yes, you've mentioned Boys Brigade, and that's obviously a big passion for yourself, and you've obviously held a high office there too. But can you sort of give us some connections then between the band and the BB? Because I know that's been long-standing from our original formation was through a BB company, and that link has been there ever since.
That's right. Mr. Symington was a businessman. He was in the linen business, and he came from England, and he had links in the community here and through the church. He was clerk of session in Donaldson Presbyterian Church, and he started the Boys Brigade, which was founded in 1883. He founded the first BB company here in 1898, I think it was, something like that, which was known as the first Dundonald Boys Brigade Company. It ceased for a while after the First World War, and then it restarted again as the company we know today as the 43rd Belfast Company. But Mr. Symington was the first one to bring BB to Dundonald. He wasn't all that popular because he was taking boys from the rural areas, and the farmers weren't too happy that they didn't have these boys who wanted to go to the Boys Brigade. And of course then he formed the BB flute band, and boys at that stage were a lot of boys, and still today a lot of boys are in the Symington band and in the Boys Brigade as well. So that's where that all sort of started from. And the Boys Brigade, our BB company, in 1971 started a trumpet band, and Ken Birch, your conductor at that stage, also trained our boys to play the trumpets at that early stage. And there were boys in both bands at that stage. People like Stephen Kennedy and Alan and Michael were all in the band, and Trevor Marshall, William Davison, Joe Hull, Robert Wilson, all those boys went through the Boys Brigade Company and also took part in the band. And I suppose my connection was through knowing lots of boys in the BB and lots of boys in the Symington band. I mean, the names just keep going on.
Yeah, there's still some in the band who are still in the Boys Brigade.
Jackie Mahoney, Gary McCall, he's no longer with Paul Hewitt, and the name of the Vincents, for example, still in the band and in the Boys Brigade, and even me, Johnny Prescio, who's in the Boys Brigade as well as the Symington band. So there's good connections all the way through.
It's been a very strong link as well.
Yeah, always a strong link. Yeah.
And it's great that you've kept that link as well because of your love for the band and your love for the BB.
Yeah. Well, I've always enjoyed it. If I have a choice of a band, it has to be a silver band. Accordion's down there somewhere, flutes are somewhere else, and I can't abide marching behind a pipe band because it's so slow. But don't tell any pipers that are here tonight that, you know. But that's the way I see it. It has to be a silver band for a band.
Okay.
I mean, I was your vice president for many years, and then, as you said, I became your president in 1989. I don't know when that stopped, but Mr. Hub took over from me, and I'm back as a vice president. I did buy you a drum kit, which
you did indeed, yes.
1981, when Jeremy Conkey really loved to bash that about in your concerts. But you know, hopefully you get good use out of that as well.
Thank you for that. As you know, the purpose of this service is a song of praise, and we've asked you to choose your favourite hymn and give us a brief description of why it's your favourite.
Well, I don't know that it's my favourite hymn, but it's a hymn which links the Boys Brigade and the band and Mr. Symington. It links everything together, and it's Will Your Anchor Hold. The BB motto, taken from Hebrews 6 and 19, says it's which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast. This particular hymn was written by Priscilla Jane Owens, I'm learning to believe. It was written in 1882. The Boys Brigade was formed in 1883. There are lots of people who say they don't like modern music, but this was modern music in 1883.
Yeah.
It may not be modern music today, but a good tune, and one which I dearly like, and it's been really known as the Boys Brigade hymn. The same lady wrote We Have Heard a Joyful Sound also, and she was in America whenever she wrote these particular hymns. So that's the hymn I hope we play tonight.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, thank you.